your burger is served. And this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
It's the Friday News Roundup. We're talking about the city budget, a No Kings protest scheduled for this weekend, plus a slumlord's vacant West Philly apartment building was deliberately set on fire. It's Friday, June 13th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's been talking about. Joining me this week at the Footler Club is CityCast Philly executive producer Matt Katz. Hey, Matt.
Happy Friday the 13th, Trenae.
Are you superstitious?
Only about sports. Go Birds. You?
Yes. You ever heard of Don't Split the Pole?
What's Don't Split the Pole?
It's like when you're walking with your friend and there's like a pole or like something like an obstruction in between you two. You have to both walk on the same side of that object. Because the thing is, it's like if you don't, it's like you'll let anything like break up your relationship or your bond.
Wow.
Yeah. I'd literally practice that with the kids. I'm like, don't split the pole. They're like, Mom. I'm like, no, seriously, do not split this pole.
So you don't even let, you won't let the pole between you and them, and you don't let the pole between even the two of them.
No.
And that's
we gotta stay strong.
That's why you guys are all still together. That's the trick. Okay, I'm on board. I'll do that.
Don't split the pole.
I won't split the pole anymore. This is also a big day. It's not just Friday the 13th, but it's also the last day of school for Philadelphia public school kids. So congrats, everybody. Enjoy your summer.
And also, parents, good luck.
Good luck. You have to deal with kids either inside or you have to break the bank to pay for camps. And so kids, do your summer reading. You don't want to let that literacy fall down
practice,
over the summer.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait till the last week in August like my kids.
All right. Well, since you said something about money, we got to talk about the city budget.
We finally got a budget. City Council on Thursday approved a $6.8 billion budget for the fiscal year that begins July 1st. Over the course of budget negotiations with City Council, the mayor's proposed budget ended up seeing increases in funding for the fire department, increases in the Office of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy, the Defenders Association, where the defense attorneys, people get their public defenders come from, Parks and Rec, DA's office, and the new Office of Prison Oversight also got a spike in funds.
Interesting. And then there were two major bills that passed Thursday as the council wraps up this session. One reduces the business income and receipts tax rate on businesses, the BERT tax, gradually over the next several years.
Yeah, this will go down through 2039 when they're eventually going to get rid of this. But with this reduction in the tax rate, which was all intended to make Philly more business friendly, it also made some small businesses unhappy because council and the mayor, at the same time, they got rid of a tax exemption on the first $100,000 of revenue under the BIRT. So a little bit of a mixed bag there, but it's all, the bottom line is it's supposed to be a way of improving the business environment in the city.
And then the home initiative, right, which we talked about earlier this week on the show, passed. This means that the city will take out $800 million in bonds over the next 2 years to fund new and restored housing in the city.
Yeah, the mayor was pretty happy about this passing. She was in a celebratory mood when she held a press conference on Thursday afternoon. This is a big piece of her legacy initiative here in the city, which is to create more affordable housing. And the first piece of this is done. And here we go.
What will we do? We will build, preserve, and restore 30,000 units of housing, the kinds of housing our residents urgently need.
We've got more news after the break.
Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
We also did an episode this week where we talked to Philadelphians down at the Cherry Street Pier when we went to the Art Star Craft Bazaar on Mother's Day weekend. And Philly let us know how Philly feels about Philly. And speaking of which, there is a new poll that came out this week where there's been some good news about Philly.
Yeah, the Pew Charitable Trust came out with a new poll of Philadelphians, and really, the headline here is that 59% of residents of Philadelphia say the city's on the right track. And hey, I love the optimism. Do you think the number would be lower if we didn't win the Super Bowl?
Possibly.
I'm serious.
Yeah, possibly. And if
really
crime rates were higher, then yeah, for sure.
I mean, the homicide rate being at a historic low this year is clearly like part of the optimism. But I also feel like the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, which is not necessarily affecting everybody's day-to-day life, does affect our civic emotional mood. And maybe that's why there's so much optimism.
Also, they did this poll around January to March, so we were flying high.
Right. You call somebody the Monday after the Super Bowl, they're like, is Philadelphia on the right track? They're like, hells yeah, it is.
Yeah, go Birds.
The other big headline out of this is that Mayor Parker came out with a 63% approval rating. This is obviously despite spelling Eagles incorrectly.
Oh, my gosh.
Her approval ratings were the lowest in South Philly and among those with college degrees and among younger residents. But she did well with older residents, Black residents, and those with low incomes. This 63% overall approval rating is actually the highest since they started polling Philly in 2009. So she's got to be pretty thrilled about that.
Yeah, I mean, she's been touting the One Philly, a United City slogan around, throwing up the one sign.
Yep. On the flip side of this, some other numbers that are pretty disconcerting. Half of residents polled said they heard gunshots in their neighborhood in the previous year, which is really, I mean, if you think about that, it's horrifying, really, right? I mean, what is the traumatic effect of all of that? It is lower than the 65% who said they had heard gunshots in 2022, but it is still a number that is clearly too high. I will say a higher percentage of residents do feel safe in their neighborhoods compared to 2022, which corresponds with the fact that fewer heard gunshots. But still, 1 in every 2 people hearing gunshots on a regular basis is clearly too much. And crime is the biggest issue facing the city, according to poll respondents. And that checks out. Certainly, people also cited affordable housing. Attention, Mayor Parker, and your home initiative, a piece of which just passed. People who cited affordable housing as the biggest issue facing the city, the percentage of those people increased compared to 2022. What I thought was really interesting was that respect for the police is totally different depending on your age. So the old heads in the city respect the police at a far higher rate than Philadelphians 18 to 29. 43% of young people said they had a great deal or good amount of respect for the police, compared to 85% of people 65 and older.
That's interesting.
And another number here that is not very positive. Only 22% of respondents said they think it would be fairly easy or very easy to purchase a home in the city. We want more Philadelphians to have the capacity and ability to purchase homes and set down stakes here, but it is still clearly difficult, and that's due to the supply and demand in our housing, which we talked about in a show this week, and the general national environment. It's just hard to get together all that money to buy a house or an apartment.
I did notice that the survey didn't talk about public transportation, which is a hot button issue right now.
Sure.
And also, there wasn't any mentioning of like schools or education or how Philadelphians feel about that sector of our lives.
Right.
But we did hear that SEPTA was a concern for Philadelphians that we spoke to at Cherry Street Pier.
For sure. Obviously, SEPTA and schools are a top of mind for people that just wasn't surveyed in the poll.
All right, we've got more news after the break.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
All right, this story is wild. Over the past weekend, there was a 4-alarm fire at the vacant Admiral Court apartment building on 48th and Locust Streets, which is in West Philly. The Philadelphia Fire Marshal has ruled that it was set deliberately. According to the Inquirer reports, more than 150 firefighters responded to this blaze early Saturday morning. No injuries were reported, thank God. But 750 residents did lose power temporarily. Okay. So this Admiral Court building, it is vacant. It's a 4-story building, and it had been vacant since 2018 when the landlord of the building, his name is Phil Pulley, evicted all the residents. So apparently this particular apartment building had 33 violations with the Department of License Inspections. So like fire code violations, they failed a recent reinspection March of this year. And it turns out that Pulley wanted to sell the building back in 2018, but that never happened. He did take out a $25 million mortgage on the Admiral Court building and another property, Dorset Court, which is like near this property in West Philly. That is also vacant. Later, defaulted on the loans. But that is not even half the story. It continues because the question is like, well, who is the owner of these properties? The city says it's still owned by this like limited partnership affiliated with Pulley, but multiple representatives for Pulley said that the Admiral Court property had been sold. Councilmember Jamie Gauthier called out the landlord for all of these numerous complaints and violations over the years, calling him a slumlord. There's been a lot of complaints. Pulley's got properties in North Philly, Francisville, some in Delaware County, many with similar complaints of code violations and defaulting on mortgages. And there's more. Earlier this year, Pulley was sentenced to 3 years probation and 100 hours of community service for voter fraud. So he admitted casting ballots in several different counties since like 2020 in federal elections.
Wow.
And in May, he pleaded guilty to state charges for voting in both Philadelphia and Montgomery County in 2021 and 2023 municipal elections.
This is so sketchy.
What is going on here?
So the bottom
Voting
line
is never that deep. Just vote in where you live.
Right.
Like,
and also, if you're a landlord, take care of your property and pay your bills. But the bottom line is this apartment building is now empty.
Yeah, it's empty, burnt.
And I guess the ownership is unclear.
Is unclear.
Obviously, we don't know if Pulley was responsible for this fire. He has not been charged, but we know it was deliberately set, according to the fire marshal's office, and that's certainly disconcerting. And We don't like to see landlords who are not paying their bills and not taking care of the residents and violating fire codes.
Right, for sure. Let's talk about this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be an interesting weekend because the Army's 250th anniversary is this weekend. So there's celebrations all over Washington, D.C., obviously, and in the Philadelphia region from like today until Sunday. There is a parade that's going to be happening around 1 o'clock. It's going to start from Arch Street and go to Independence Mall. But at the same time, Matt, there's also demonstrations scheduled for not only in Philly, but across the country. It's called No Kings Protest. It's a rally to protest against President Donald Trump's policies like immigration and all these other policies that he has really pushed since he's been in office. That demonstration kicks off at Love Park and then heads up to the Parkway to the Art Museum steps, also around 1 p.m.
On Saturday, right.
Yes.
The No Kings protest in Philly is supposed to be one of the largest of the hundreds that are planned nationwide. And it comes a few days after this anti-ICE protest on Tuesday on Market Street, where 15 protesters were arrested, 4 were treated for injuries. Video shows violence, scuffling between cops and protesters. A cop had a knee on a protester's face that I saw, a video that I saw. So, I mean, where I was watching that, and I'm obviously also watching what's been happening in Los Angeles between police and anti-ICE activists. And if protests turn violent here, whether it's protesters destroying property, police using aggressive force, as has happened in the past, Trump has threatened to send National Guard, Marines into any city where there's unrest, as he's done in Los Angeles. Governor Shapiro this week said he would push back against any efforts to unlawfully activate the Pennsylvania National Guard. But it's already caused so much conflict and curfews and violence in Los Angeles that I'm frankly, worried about how this can catch fire elsewhere, including in Philly.
You did mention Governor Shapiro, and even California's Governor Gavin Newsom also responded. Right?
He kind of brought us into this. Yeah. He wrote on X. He was trying to say, listen, just because there was a car burning doesn't mean you got to send in Marines and the National Guard. We've got this under control. So he wrote on X, are you going to send the Marines in the next time the Philadelphia Eagles win too? And it was next to a photo of a fire in Philly after we won the Super Bowl. So I'm like, come on, Gavin, why are you going to bring us into this? But his point was that whenever you get a mass of people together, whether they're celebrating a Super Bowl victory or they're protesting authoritarian efforts by the federal government, there might be fires that burn, and it doesn't mean that the whole city needs to be locked down and under martial law. It means that law enforcement needs to do what they need to do. That was Governor Newsom's point.
This is interesting because it's like that this is a test between state government and federal government and which states are going to comply, which are going to push back.
Totally. And then you have in the middle of this, Mayor Parker, who has been very deliberate about not engaging directly with Trump. And in fact, Parker's spokesperson declined a request for comment from Axios about the LA protests. So she's trying to take something of a low profile here, but we don't know how long that can last. I mean, if we get the same kind of protest that we got after George Floyd was killed that we saw here in Philly, if that begins to happen again this summer due to this aggressive immigration enforcement that the president is pursuing, then it could be a different situation. I think part of what could really lead to mass demonstrations in the streets of Philly is if we see ICE operating in the same manner that they've been operating elsewhere in the country. Like if we see people getting snatched off the streets by officers in masks who are not identifying themselves.
I think that's scary and chaotic.
The Inquirer reported how businesses in the Italian market, many of which are owned and operated by immigrants, some are keeping their doors locked and putting a doorbell on the outside, so you have to ring the bell if you want to go in. There's real fear in the immigrant community, and if those fears are realized, if people start getting snatched up in great numbers, you're going to see Philadelphians in the streets.
All right, Matt, you got weekend plans?
I have 3, maybe 7 kids' baseball and softball games.
You went from 3 to 7.
Well, I don't know.
What the heck?
You know, the thing is, my son's in a tournament, so if he wins, you play more. And my daughter's in a playoffs for softball, so if she wins, they play more games.
This is a all weekend thing?
Trenae, kids' sports is an all life thing.
It is.
I'm just beholden to the texts from the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me where to be.
Do you bring the oranges?
Time. Last night I brought brownies.
Oh.
Almost forgot them in the car.
Oh my God.
So we got sports. I got a friend's karaoke birthday party on Saturday night. Got Father's Day on Sunday. Hoping to go for a hike if the weather's good. I love a hike on Father's Day because nobody can say no when Daddy wants to go for a hike. Because you can't say no. It's my day.
It's your day.
What about you? What are you up to?
Okay, earlier in the show, we talked about, school is out. So the kids and I will be at libraries. We're going to be checking out the summer reading books for the summer reading list.
Oh, wow. You're on top of the summer reading.
Well, one of my kids is really passionate about reading. So I'm I'm whatever energy you're on, I'm on. So
yeah, for sure.
If you're into your reading list, let's be into your reading list.
Totally.
The math part, we'll get to that later.
Will you read maybe one of the books as well?
No, I'm past those days. I'm not reading books. I'm not reading books to kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to be doing some reading stuff at the Free Library. And the Free Library has free events and activities, which I love. We've got a graduation party. I'm going to a vineyard in Jersey to celebrate my best friend's birthday, Tamara. Happy birthday, girl.
Happy birthday.
And speaking of birthdays, it was CityCast Philly contributor OJ Spivey. It was his birthday this week. Happy birthday, OJ.
Birthday, OJ. Nice.
And then also, Matt, I know you like fusion cuisine.
I love fusion.
There is a spot called, funny enough, it's called The Newsroom.
Nice.
Just opened in Northern Liberties on Germantown Avenue. It's Philly's newest speakeasy. So you got to go and knock on the vending machine. It's a Diet 7-Up vending machine facade on the building.
Incredible.
Walk in. It's like a dark tunnel.
Uh-huh.
And then you go into the space, the restaurant space, or the speakeasy space. And there might be some aerial entertainment, a woman falling from the ceiling, doing her thing.
Whoa.
It's incredible. Cocktails are good. It is a Japanese Latin fusion menu. So you can get sushi, crispy rice topped with a spicy tuna and a jalapeno on top. Oh my God.
Wow.
I had the umami cucumber, thinly sliced cucumbers with a spicy sauce, a chili spicy sauce on top.
Damn.
It was packed with flavor, with spice, with punch. You gotta go.
I was just reading in the Inquirer, Michael Klein wrote that there's 5 new hot shit Japanese restaurants opening in 2025, including the Newsroom. So this is a thing. I mean, I remember a time in Philly, 20 years ago, it was hard to find a sushi place. And now we are awash in amazing Japanese. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Well, I recommend you go there. It's great for a date night, to catch up with friends even. The music was phenomenal.
Wow.
And it's not too loud where you can't hear who you're who you're with.
Yeah.
So it was just a perfect vibe.
Nice.
So go down to the Newsroom. All right. Happy Father's Day to you, Matt. And
thanks so much, Trenae.
all the wonderful Philly dads out there.
Yeah,
you guys
happy
are doing
Father's
great.
Day, Dad, and happy Father's Day to all the dads. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Peace. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Our executive producer is Matt Katz. Our producer is Abby Fritz. Our Hey Philly newsletter editors are Siani Colon and Natalia Aldana. And our host is me, Trenae Nuri. Music is by Philly's own Interminable, with additional music from all the kimonos. If you enjoyed this week of episodes, Share with a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Philly. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend and be safe, y'all. Bye.